What's up, guys? Yes, it's Saturday afternoon. We are live on the web streams here. What's going on? Thank you so much for joining us. And if you're watching us on demand afterwards, hey, thank you just the same. We got another great team of people here. We got Mr. Lauren Murphy and Mr. Matt Brown. What's up, guys?
Hey,
Yo,
we're being silly.
Yeah.
By now, if you've been watching Brockways Vinyl Bites enough, you know that these guys are mainstays. Yes, we got Richard Fusey in the house, and today we were talking about prog songs, prog epics under 6 minutes. So we kind of include the pop songs from some of these bands, like There's No Invisible Touch, There's No Owner of a Lonely Heart, that sort of thing. But those same bands will get mentioned, but just the more proggy side and not cracking 6 minutes. This was a lot harder than it seems. This took me a lot of going on Google or through my Apple Music and seeing which songs exactly hit like 559. And like, I was going to pick, I was going to pick a specific Kansas song and it was like 603. I'm like, God damn it. Like, don't worry. I got another Kansas song in here to make up for it. But, you get the gist. We're going, prog rock epics under 6 minutes. So songs that can take you around the world in less than 6 minutes. So
yeah.
Matt Brown is going to start us off. Then we're going to go Mr. Lauren. Then we're going to go Mr. Cody. So Mr. Matt, let's rock.
So we're doing 12, right?
Oh yeah, we're doing 12.
Okay.
I
actually ended up with quite a few. At first, I thought this was going to be really difficult. And then the next thing I knew, I had like 20 songs. So
yeah.
And there's probably more. So anyway, and I didn't bend the rules to suit my purposes exactly, but there are a couple things on this list that I think are incredibly proggy and short, but not necessarily from bands you would associate with the whole prog rock genre.
Like not actual prog with a capital P, but sort of prog, like I get it.
Like they have the characteristics and they could you could put them in on the panel and people were like, oh, I had no idea this band did something like this, like that. But we'll get to those.
Hey, my dad's in the house. We got Wanakawa. That's otherwise Chris. Hi, Dad.
All right. Okay. So, and I since there was only 12, it was relatively easy for me to just pick one song per band. It didn't start out that way, but it wound up that way. So that made me happy. Okay. Number one, and these are not in any order, but I'm just going to arbitrarily do an order. Number one is Last Plane Out by a record by a band called Toy Matinee.
Oh, okay. Kevin Gilbert
And Patrick Leonard. This was an album that came out in the late 80s and was incredibly popular in Los Angeles. Kevin ended up getting on the radio with our morning guys, and they totally fell in love with him. So in addition to Last Plane Out and Jenny Ledge getting a lot of airplay, he would come on their show and stuff. Great tune. It's got real like Gentle Giant-y kind of acoustic guitar flourishes in the intros to the verses, and the lyrics are brilliant. It's very, very clever. The whole album's clever, but
he was on the old Gentle Giant mailing list way back in the day. You'll remember before the web and everything. There were these mailing lists, right? Like Genesis had one called Paperlate. There was a Rush one, and the Gentle Giant one, he was a member on that and constantly on there talking about them.
Kevin. Oh, that's cool. I had no idea. I mean, I knew he was a fan, but
yeah, he was great. He really was.
He was.
We're always talking about them here too.
Yeah, they're coming up. I got them on my list, but I thought I'd lead off with that.
Right on.
Number two, and I'm not just doing this for bonus points with Lauren because I know he's a big fan like me. But
what is it?
Easter by Marillion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it's been one of my favorite songs forever, and it's like 5:58, so it qualifies.
Yes, it does. Yeah, you get it.
Yeah.
I thought I didn't like Marillion very much till I heard that song, and then I was like, oh, wow, I like this a lot. That's a very good song.
And I was looking at some other songs. I nearly went with Incommunicado, and I was looking at some stuff from some of the other records, but But Easter has been a favorite for so long that I couldn't deny it, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
All right, number 3. This was hard because this is my favorite band in the entire world, and they have tons of songs under 6 minutes. But this is definitely one of the ones that's one of the trickiest, and we're learning this one, so it's right in the forefront of my brain right now, and that's Down and Out from Genesis.
Oh, nice.
That is a fun one to play, man.
It is a fun one to play. I remember the first time I heard it, I thought my CD was skipping because there's like that weird hiccup that happens like in the main rhythm. It's like, what? And I wonder how many people who had vinyl thought their records were defective until they realized that's how it is.
Is that an odd time signature, that one? Is it 5 or something? Or
it's 5/4, and it's played in such a way that it sounds straight until they get to that weird, then you're like, wait, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
Great. We actually got a compliment from Matt and Lauren here. My dad listens to the Deep Nuggets show every week, never misses you guys.
And thank you.
I want to thank Matt and Lauren for all the amazing music you guys lay out every week. I love you guys. Keep up the great work, and thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
We appreciate that very much.
Absolutely.
And he never even goes on Facebook. He never posts in the groups or anything. He's just always listening through the Live 365 app. And he's always listening. He never misses a show. So
right on.
That's an important detail. Cody, I'm glad you brought that up, because we have a lot of Deep Nuggets listeners that don't use Facebook and don't necessarily use social media, but we've seen the numbers. They are out there.
Yeah.
Just to reiterate, that is www.deepnuggets.com.
And we get fun and crazy and silly and play lots of music, and it's definitely worth checking out.
Exactly.
Okay. Number 4, Jethro Tull. There's another band you could do a ton of songs by.
Yeah.
I just went with my gut. I went with favorites. Cold Wind to Valhalla from
beautiful.
The Gallery.
Great band.
Starts out nice and acoustic, and then it rocks out, and just a great tune. Got Barry on the drums and great lyrics.
That
album's, yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Number 5, Gentle Giant. Here's another one that, to me, they're kind of like, I've sort of thought of them as like the quintessential prog rock band in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah,
probably because they were always a cult band, but again, I could have picked a ton of tunes. I went with the first track on Octopus, The Advent of Panurge.
Nice one.
Which is really so cool. All the vocals and just, I'm a big fan of John Weathers. I love his drumming. And one of the things I think is so brilliant about Gentle Giant is that thing where you've got Kerry Minier on the one hand, who's very classical.
Oh yeah.
You've got Gary Green, who's very blues. And you've got John Weathers that just lays it down. And all of those things combined, plus what the Shulman brothers do, it's just, it's complex, but there's something you can hang your hat on. And I love that.
Yeah, and all the songs are condensed. Like there's nothing that's, I think the longest song is 9 minutes 50, and that's Giant from the first album. Like there's nothing long.
They never really got into the epics. Really, their music was epic on its own. They didn't need to stretch out the arrangements. Really, it was. You also had the vocal differences between Kerry and Derek. Kerry would come on and he would sing, and he had that sort of sweet voice, and Derek had that more strange, rocky sort of voice. That made for an interesting difference as well in their music.
Kerry would do like Aspiration and all that.
Or Think of Me with Kindness, or the beginning of Panda Girls Nativity. I could have picked pretty much almost anything on Power and the Glory or Freehand, because most of those songs are under 6 minutes. But Octopus has been a favorite forever. So, okay, here's where the list starts to get a little weird. Number 6, Flaming Lips.
Okay.
Very weird band out of Oklahoma City. They have a song called Pompeii und Gotterdammerung, which is from an album called At War with the Mystics. It's the best metal era Floyd song that Floyd never did. If that hasn't intrigued you to listen to it, I don't know what will. But it's really, really freaking cool.
Okay. All right.
I played it on my show in the past, but I haven't played it in a while, so this might be an excuse to revisit it. Number 7, a song entitled "The Man Who Sailed Around His Soul" by XTC.
Oh yeah, where's Scott Lade, man? He loves XTC.
Yeah, I love XTC too. So many of my musician friends are XTC devotees with good reason. They were so brilliant. This is on Skylarking. It's kind of jazzy. There's some flute in there. There is some odd meter in there. It's just an interesting song, and it's like 3.5 minutes.
Wow, yeah, that's awesome. That's great.
Yeah. Okay, number 8, Porcupine Tree. Again, another band that you could pick a ton of tunes. They have a lot of long songs, but a lot of shorter ones too. And the one that spoke to me the most often, especially being a musician and trying to work in the industry, is The Sound of Muzak from In Absentia. Great rhythm, great little syncopations in that, great lyrics. And that's about 5 minutes.
Lyrics. The lyrics in that are awesome. And it's so true for so many people, like not like the three of us, but like it's more directed at the general public, and it's very right.
Yeah. I mean, it is a little bit elitist, but it's actually very universal. Somehow he manages to do that at the same time, and that's pretty cool too.
An amazing drum fill in that track that comes towards the end, I think, before the final chorus repeats from Gavin Harrison. It's just I just love it. It's only a few seconds, but it's amazing.
Gavin, I know, so good. Okay, so I think we're up to, that's my 8th choice.
Yep.
Here's where it gets tough, because like I said, I had like 20 tunes. Number 9, Tattooed Love Boys by the Pretenders.
Okay.
From their first record. And they wrote this little punky 3-minute song that alternates between a bar of 7 and a bar of 4. And the first time I heard it, I mean, this was long before I knew what prog rock was. I mean, it was probably 10 or 11 years old. And this thing comes on the radio and it's full of punky energy. And I'm like, I can't count this. What the hell's going on? But a lot of my friends who are also prog people are like, dude, that song owns. And it's great.
That's a good point you just made there, actually. Sorry to jump in. That's a good point, though. I mean, I grew up on, certain prog bands like Yes and stuff, but I didn't know the term until I was like in my teenage years, like late, like, 14, 15, 16. But I've been listening to Yes my whole life. But Yes was just, a rock band or classic rock before I knew the term prog rock. Now it makes much, like, it still makes sense. But, a lot of us didn't know what prog really was for a good portion of our life, but still loved the music, right?
Exactly. All right. I'd be remiss if I didn't put these guys in here. So this will be number 10. The very first song on the very first Yes album, which is almost more psychedelic in a way than prog, but it definitely points the way forward. I guess it was an old Mabel Greer's Tour Shop song. It's called Beyond and Before from the first record.
Nice.
Killer bass, and it's got some really nice acoustic guitar buried in there. The harmonies are awesome. 4.5 minutes, I think.
Wow, great. Wow, that is a real deep nugget,
Yeah. Yeah, it is very deep. I mean, a lot of people, I mean, I still meet people that don't even know that the first 2 albums exist, so.
Yeah. That's a shame.
Okay, so that was number 10. This is where it gets painful. I have to decide which of these songs is going to get chosen. Number 11, Bebop Deluxe. I've recently gotten into Bebop Deluxe in a very, very, very serious way. And there's a song on the Sunburst Finish record called Sleep That Burns.
Wow.
Really good, and goes through some different vibes and stuff. And
they're a great band.
And very, very clever. Yeah, they're an awesome band. And definitely worth checking out if you haven't heard of them already.
Cool.
So I'm going with that. And, oh, God, this is so hard. All right. Sophie's choice here. Number 12. Letting Go is the name of the song. It's by a band called Kino. It's from their first album called Picture. Came out in 2006.
Okay. And, I've heard you guys play them on the radio before.
Yeah, Lauren and I are big fans. I adore that first record. There's so many good songs on it. And that's a favorite. So I'm going with that. You wouldn't believe some of the stuff that I've written down here that I'm not mentioning, but you guys mentioned some of these, so we'll find out.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll keep it a surprise. Maybe we can have, if we have some time at the end, we can do some honorable mentions or whatever.
Okay.
If you're still around, I know you have to do some traveling for your gig tonight, so
I've got a little bit of time, but yeah, I appreciate that.
all right. Well, we'll keep it. We'll keep the train rolling. We'll keep it speedy for you. So, Lauren, what do you got, my friend? Let's hear what you got to say.
All right. So first of all, yes, I love Kino. That record is amazing, and I love Pete Trewavas. Everything he touches, he's such a wonderful melodic bass player. So lyrical. He's fantastic. Anyway, this was hard and not hard. That's what she said. Okay, no.
Hey, now.
I know. Everybody knew that was coming. Okay,
There's no rules here, man. It's all good.
Number
No
12.
your way.
No order whatsoever.
Right.
The Tangent. And this is the album Comm, COMM, and the song is Tech Support Guy, which is a really funny. I don't know if anyone knows the Tangent, but Andy Tillison is a really funny Yorkshireman who has an interesting outlook on life and going on tangents. Hence the name of his band. It originally had Royna Stolt in it and stuff, but it's sort of gone through several phases. But the Tangent albums are always great, and he fills his songs with loads of prog, loads of Canterbury sort of sounds, very jazzy. He doesn't rely on just the ultra symphonic guitar solos and things. Really, really cool band. I could name plenty of songs, but he's also got a ton of epics. So, Tech Support Guy, and we've all been there with Tech Support Guys too. And if you listen to this song, you'll know where it's going.
All right.
Okay. Next, PFM from their first album, and the song is Impressioni di Settembre. Which, it's
Italian Prague.
Yeah, it's a pretty famous one, really, but that's a really famous main melody, main riff in that song.
Well, you guys are making my list look like pop tunes. Hold on.
It's a beautiful song. They redid it in English a few years later, and they called it "The World Became the World." For anyone who doesn't like Italian lyrics, I prefer the original, but great.
That's how I originally discovered it. Actually, was someone put a copy of "The World Came the World" into my hands, and I went and checked it out.
Yeah,
and then I traced history back to the first.
Yeah, it's a good entry point for someone if it's easier to listen to the English one. I'm sure it is, but
we got Mr. Wondrous in the house. What's up, Mr. Wondrous? Woohoo! Sorry to jump in on you, Lauren. I just wanted to say hi to Mr. Wondrous.
Well, it is Mr. Wondrous. How can you not jump in?
Hell yeah.
That's right. Yeah, he's here all the time. He never misses a show. So
again, these are in no order whatsoever. But release, which I think is a great little Yes track that doesn't get enough attention from an album that is much better than its reputation, in my opinion.
Agreed.
It's got a couple that aren't my favorites, but I think most of the album is great. And release is a fun, rocking little prog tune from the late 70s.
It's a great tune.
It goes through some little different phases. I think it's got a lot of energy and kind of harkens back in some ways to that early Yes record you're talking about, when they had so much energy, Beyond and Before and all that stuff, and they had Bruford, adding the little jazz bits and stuff.
Yeah.
Wishbone Ash, the song Blowin' Free. This whole album is fantastic. The Argus album, I mean. I like all of their early albums. And people nowadays don't really know them as much, I don't think. But that's a pretty classic album to a lot of people. And definitely listen to it if you never have before.
Yeah, Wishbone were very influential on a lot of other bands that did the twin guitar thing.
Definitely, yeah. Maiden, for example.
Yeah, Maiden, like Steve Harris is a huge Wishbone Ash fan.
Mm-hmm.
Now those guys do triple guitar things.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they took it to another level, right? right?
They never got rid of Yannick once Adrian came back, right? They're just like, let's just go with 3. But why not, right? I like Yannick, actually. I think he's got a lot of people don't like his stage presence. I think he's a lot of fun to watch, actually.
I love him.
Have you never seen music?
You've never seen them live, right, Lauren?
No, strangely enough, all the concerts I've seen, I've never seen Maiden, and I've had a million opportunities. But
I've seen them a few times now, and he's awesome to watch live. Like, all the stuff that you see on the concert DVDs, he's really doing them, throwing his legs up on the, like, resting his feet up on the amps. Amps that are up like the size of him.
And he's a good player too. He's a good player.
Yeah.
He was on the first Fish solo album. Actually, a lot of people may not know that. Vigil in the Wilderness of Mirrors.
I didn't know he was on that. Oh, cool.
He is indeed. And speaking of, this is my Marillion pick.
Okay.
Emerald Lies, which is not a very popular song in their catalog, but I think it's awesome. It goes through plenty of little sections. It's got this wicked section in the middle with this sort of clattering drum sound from Ian Mosley, and Fish getting into his really deep drunken poet sort of lyrics. Good stuff.
Cool.
Pretty naughty actually song if you actually read it.
Oh wow.
But hey, we've all been a little naughty now and then. King Crimson, Indiscipline.
Nice.
Which I was like, please tell me Indiscipline is less than 6 minutes, and it is.
Yes.
And I was like, thank God, because I couldn't do this list without that song. I don't think. Amazing song. What can I even say about it that you guys don't already know? It's amazing.
I know.
Amazing.
I mean, all I can say, I'll talk about that in a little while. We'll talk about the tour. We'll talk about the Beat tour that's happening in a little bit.
There's a killer live version of it. I think it's from one of the videos, one of the VHS DVD/videos that they did from that era.
Oh, is it the one from Japan?
It's either that or it's the one from Phrygias, and Adrian just goes off.
Yeah.
I do remember one thing. Oh, let's see, what was it? Oh yeah, it's really funny.
He's great.
He's awesome. I love that guy.
What a pedigree too. You know what I mean? Talking Heads, Frank Zappa, and King Crimson. Like,
yeah.
I mean, not to mention that he is some of his solo stuff. He's had Danny Carey from Tool play the drums on. I mean, he's a good guy. He's a good musician. He's up there with all the great guys. He really is. I mean, hello, he's got Steve Vai and Danny Carey and Tony Levin in this next coming of the Beat project, right? So,
wait, that's gonna be so amazing.
Oh, dude,
yeah.
My heart stops just thinking about it. Continue, Lauren.
Vandergraaf Generator, or when they had dropped the word generator at this point and just were called Vandergraaf, because they had shifted the lineup quite a bit. But the song is called Cat's Eye Yellow Fever, and it's this sort of violin-led energetic track. It's my favorite on that album, and it's definitely another one worth checking out if you've never heard it. Really cool song. Listen to that one, Cat's Eye Yellow Fever.
All right.
The Moody's.
Pretty Blues.
Question. Because Question, not only does it go through all those sections, as we know, it's really kind of two songs put together in a way. It's the main rock section with that amazing bass riff. I love that riff. It's simple, but it's a very effective riff. And then into the I'm looking for someone to change my life section, the quieter part. Two songs sort of fused together, but nicely. And great song, great opening to one of their string of classics from that period, of course.
Awesome.
Love them.
You may have heard of them before. I'm not sure. But The Trees is, what can I say about The Trees? Like, that's an amazing piece of music.
It is.
We always used to listen to the one on Exit Stage Left on side 3 that used to go into Xanadu.
Yeah.
Bruins Bane and The Trees and Xanadu. And that's one of those sides of a record that we actually wore out, you know, and so the grooves became unplayable. My friends and I used to listen to it over and over and over again, you know.
Yeah.
Trees and Xanadu, amazing stuff.
That's great.
The first versions of those songs that I heard were from Exit Stage Left, and
Yeah,
it actually kind of made it hard for me to go back to the studio versions after that because the energy is so strong.
the studio one almost sounds a little bit tame when
Yeah.
you compare it. I mean, there's going to be Rush fans out there going, "What? What is he saying?" But only in comparison to Exit Stage.
Yeah, it doesn't take away anything from the record, but
No, not at all.
But yeah,
I love Hemispheres, you know.
Me too.
Opeth.
Oh, nice. And you got the ticket stub in there too.
With my ticket stub that my wife got signed by Michael Ackerfeld, who was on the street talking to a fan, and I said, "Go get an autograph." And she went up and rudely tapped him on the shoulder while she totally interrupted him. I was like, "Don't do that." But she's like, "Well, I was nervous." I was like, "Well, I know, but you still barge into someone's conversation." But anyway.
At least he's nice, right?
He was nice about it, yes. He's a small guy, man. He's really small.
Wow. Is he?
Yeah, I don't know how that voice comes out of him, but
like Steve Hackett's like a tiny dude.
My last one, speaking of Steve Hackett, he signed this one. When we met him. We met him the first time with his brother John Hackett.
Yay.
And Seven Stones has got to be my pick because I love that song so much. I love how it's 3 separate tales. If you read the lyrics,
yeah,
the one about the farmer, the one about the sailor, and blah blah blah. So and it's, you know, just that massive Mellotron sound they got in it too. You know.
I don't. Yeah. Hey Lauren, I don't think you mentioned which Opeth song. You showed the album and told the story, but I don't recall you.
Oh, Closure. Closure. Good call. Is the song, although there's a few I could pick from here as long as they aren't over 6 minutes, but I know Closure isn't. And we saw the debut performance of that whole album at the Danforth in Toronto. That was the opening night of the tour, and they played with Porcupine Tree, who, unbeknownst to us, sat behind us. We were on the balcony, in the front row of the balcony, and the Porcupine Tree guys sat behind us watching the Opeth show. We just thought they were 5 guys. Like, we didn't know they were Porcupine Tree. But
oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, I guess back then, like, the Google wasn't like super big, so you didn't exactly have a lot of pictures of the band either, right? Like,
no, and the only pictures I had seen of Steven Wilson, he had insanely long hair, like he was from a black metal band or something. You know, by the time he came on stage for that, I didn't really even recognize it. I didn't even know really what he looked like. But they played Closure, and when it ended, because it has that crazy long sort of Middle Eastern sounding ending with the, you know, the bongos, and it just sort of ends suddenly, and the crowd was really stunned by it, and you could hear a pin drop in the theater, and it was like, do they like it? You know. But it was an amazing performance. Actually, they were nervous to play that album the first time because they had never played a show before that wasn't death metal.
Yeah,
you know, their first time coming on stage and playing something different.
Right. Didn't know what kind of reaction they were going to get.
No, they didn't, and they were very nervous. You could see it, but it was awesome. So yeah. Oh wait, sorry, I do have one last one. That was only 11. The reason is because I have to lift this thing, which is like painful when you're 51 years old. But this is the UK Ultimate Collector's Edition box set. This is 14 CDs and 4 Blu-rays of the UK, Prime UK, and I chose Rendezvous 602 as my song. That is fortunately not 602. It's under 6 minutes, but I'm sure you know the song. That's an amazing track. I love all their songs. I really do. And this box set is like, I mean, I would save this if the place was on fire. You know.
Yeah, I would too. And I would love to hear what's in that box set, man. I would love to hear what's in that.
It's amazing. Well, we talked about it. Remember when we did the box set show a while back? Yep. I don't think many people have watched that episode, but
well, that was a lot less subscribers ago.
Yeah.
Go back and watch that.
Go back and watch our box set Bonanza show, where I talk all about this wonderful UK box set.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's my 12.
I guess it's my turn now.
Yes, sir.
Well, you're going to be happy to know that I've been paying attention, and only 2 of my songs in this list were picked by either one of you. So our lists have been totally different, as expected, right? Cool. So these aren't in any order, really. And some vinyl, so I'll do the CD share first, and then vinyl. You got to go with Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody. I know it's not technically what you would consider to be progressive rock, but my God, I mean, 5 minutes, 50 seconds, I think, is the length. And I mean, all the moods and things that happen throughout this tune, it's absolutely unbelievable. And it is a massive hit.
Yeah.
And it is like I definitely think it is progressive rock. I mean, this is an era of when bands were just doing whatever they wanted. They didn't care. There was no rules. Like, well, there was, but they didn't pay attention to them. And you know, for real. Like, and you know, these bands. What can I say about Bohemian Rhapsody that hasn't already been said before? I mean, all the moods and everything that it goes through in just 5.5 minutes is insane and incredible.
Keep in mind, too, that if they had done one more Galileo, it would have been over 6 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know. We're hugging the 6 minute mark here for some of these tunes. Trust me.
Yep.
Pink Floyd, One of These Days. This is a great record to listen to in a dark room in the middle of the night. And you just put the needle on the album, and that comes on. And it, you know, for staying in the same key, it still finds a way to go through all of these places in just that 4 or 5 minutes. I mean, really, let's listen to the mood and how it builds up. And then all of a sudden it drops down again, and the bass is just going through this weird sort of flanger phaser thing. And it comes back in with the kick drum and Nick Mason's voice. One of these days, I'm going to chop you into a million pieces. Then it's like heavy rock throughout, and they come back full force with the riff. Incredible.
So if you've never heard the song, now you have.
yeah, pretty much.
Yes.
I think I've always heard rumor that Gilmour is playing one of those basses in that song. It's Gilmour and Waters both playing bass.
That's true.
Yeah,
it is. Now we are going to go into one of the songs that was already previously mentioned. One of the 2. Release from Yes.
Oh, nice.
It, like Lauren said, it goes through all of these movements. And we got Christopher in the house. What's up, Christopher? Oh, he picked The Sound of Music as well. Nice one.
Oh, right on.
Nice one. Yeah. We all got good taste around here. What can I say? If you're watching this show, you know what's up. You know what's up with your tunes. Yes, release. Like you said, Lauren, I mean, all I can really do is sort of piggyback off of what you already mentioned about this tune, but it's very energetic. The drumming is fantastic. I mean, everything about the whole song is just, it's wicked, and it's high energy, and it goes through lots of moods and different vibrations, man. It just goes through.
Very John of you to say that.
Right. And it has a really frantic vocal from him too, which is really cool. I mean, you don't always get vocals like that from John, but you get the sense of that urgency with the vocals in this tune, and just the whole song is awesome. Release.
Good call.
All right, now back on territory where no one else has treaded yet in the stream. Forsaken by Dream Theater. You know how hard it is to find a Dream Theater song that's under 6 minutes?
Yeah.
I mean, even Spirit Carries On is 6.5, right? I was going to pick Another Day, because that is one of my all-time favorite Dream Theater songs as well, but so is Forsaken, man, and I did one song per artist. It's something I never usually do, but Forsaken. It's just an epic track, and it is 5 minutes 35 seconds. I think it has one of James LeBrie's best vocal performances. Although I'm a fan of James, I know some people are here and there, whatever. I love his voice, and especially on this track. There's some really cool harmonies going on in the chorus and stuff. It's just great, and a very powerful riff from John Petrucci. And I like the way that him and Mike Portnoy always had this sort of chemistry where they sort of really feed off each other. And this song is no exception, man. 5.5 minutes, if you're introducing someone who's not really a fan of this kind of music, if you're introducing them to it, this is a great song to go, well, check this out, And it's under 6 minutes, so it applies.
Yeah.
Next up is Child of Innocence from Kansas from the Mask album. I love this album. This album is so good. And I also would have picked Icarus, Born on the Wings of Steel, but it was 6:03. It was 3 seconds after the 6 minute mark. So we had to cut it. Maybe the next one we can do is songs that are under 6 minutes and 5 seconds. You know how many songs we would get?
Over 6 minutes and 5 seconds? Between 6 and 6:05.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, between 6 and 6:05. There you go. But no, this song is awesome. I mean, it's hooky, but it's very proggy. It goes through lots of different, peaks and valleys, right? It goes through lots of different motions and moods and stuff. But it's got hooks, and it's heavy, and it's all this stuff, and it's under 6 minutes, and so it's a great contender for today's list. And if you haven't heard this album, because there's some people who are into prog who maybe don't know the more American side of it, definitely listen to Kansas and listen to this album. Left Overture, Point of No Return, in this album. What can I say?
I'd even go so far as to go back to the first two, Song for America and the first album. But yeah, I mean, Mask, Left Overture, and Point of No Return are all classic, man. They're great.
Yeah, this is awesome. I mean, even it takes a woman's love to make a man, which is kind of more like a more traditional classic rock song of the time, and it's still great. I love classic rock. I do. I was born on that stuff. We're going back to 1970 for one of the most insane classical turned rock pieces ever. That's The Barbarian from Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
That was on my honorable mention list. Yeah.
It's absolutely insane. It's this whole heavy. Yes, I'm gonna say it is borderline heavy metal for the first minute and a half, and then all of a sudden the brushes come in. You know how hard it is to play that fast with brushes on the snare. With the kick and the hi-hat clamp going boom, all the while the hands are going.
Yeah,
it's crazy stuff.
Carl,
and he keeps that up for about 2.5 minutes, and no breaks. I mean, except for those bound, ba ba bound, ba 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 ba. Then just keeps right back at it, just crazy, and then comes back in with the gong and that heavy bass riff. More heaviness throughout the rest of the track, and that is actually a Bela Bartok piece, rockified by Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and it is one of my favorite tracks, hands down. Now we're breaking into the vinyl. I too have a Porcupine Tree song, but it is not The Sound of Music, although that was an excellent choice. It's Halo from the Deadwing album.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just kidding. It is Arriving Somewhere But Not Here. No. It's it's Halo. It's Halo. Again, I love just the whole everything about that song. It's got a great hook. It has really cool atmospheric verses. And then the bridge section where what's that time in? Is it like 9/8 or something like that? It just anyway, great stuff. And Gavin Harrison handles all the Steven Wilson changes just like the total pro that he is. And they go on in that crazy time signature for a while, and then they come back and they repeat the refrain at the end of the song with some great guitar riffs.
Right.
Just awesome. Again, this is one of those, if you've never really heard prog or prog metal or whatever, this is a great introductory tune.
Yeah.
All right, here's a really rare one. This is from Steve Hackett. And this is In the Skeleton Gallery from the Night Siren.
Oh, wow.
I remember when this came out, and my dad actually said to me, we were listening to this a lot, he says, this is like Close to the Edge in 5 minutes.
Really?
He's not wrong. I mean, In the Skeleton Gallery, if you listen to that, I mean, it just does so much stuff in 5 minutes. It literally takes you around the world of what music was going on in Steve's head in the Progiverse at the time in under 6 minutes effortlessly.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a really good album too. So Night Siren from 2017, In the Skeleton Gallery from Steve Hackett.
Cool.
Yeah, we're gonna keep on the Steve train for another minute here, but we're going back to his old band, Genesis. And the song is the song that opens up the album, Dance on a Volcano. I had another Genesis song in here, but I decided to stick like one song per artist. So I was going to have Can Utility and the Coastliners in as well. But this one, man, the 7/8 thing going on throughout pretty much the entire track, and all the time changes where it goes back to, actually no, it still stays in 7 in the choruses or the refrains or whatever they would call them in this case, right? But just awesome. Loads of key changes. Thanks, Tony and Steve. And then you get the whole fast section right at the end of the song where it just goes totally insane. Like you can really hear some of the jazz fusion that they were listening to, but really rockified, really heavy.
Yeah.
Awesome. Genesis, Dance on a Volcano from A Trick of the Tail. This is their first one without Peter Gabriel. You guys know that, obviously, but this is like just what a way to say that we can continue on as a band and have that be the opening track with that awesome intro that sucks you right in the first second you listen to it, and then it changes, and then it changes. And then the sort of melodic chorus. I want to say the chorus, but that chorus riff comes in. Great stuff. So, in fear of sounding more like Jack Black than I just did, I'm going to continue on with my list. I didn't really sound like him, but
you just sit back and listen, enjoy the magic of rock.
Yeah, progressive rock, hard rock, classic rock. Lauren, I thought you were going to pick the same song when you pulled the CD out, but you didn't.
Are you going with Circumstances?
Yeah, Circumstances, my man. How long is that song? That's only 3 minutes 42. Again, 3 minutes? Really? Like, listen to all the stuff they pack in that 3 minutes. I'm getting chills just talking about it. Christopher said Dream Theater's Strange Deja Vu. I think most of the songs on that album that isn't like an overture or like a bridge between tracks is over 6 minutes, I believe. Believe me, I looked at that album. That was a big contender. Rush, Circumstances, man, the drumming in this and the whole time, I think this is in 5 throughout most of the track. But there's lots of changes actually. Like it's not just in 5, like the bridge is in 5, but it's also in 4 and in 7 and all this different crazy stuff going on here. And 3 minutes. This band really takes you around the world on their I don't know, their magic flying carpet of Rush, whatever that is. In just 3.5 minutes, literally. I mean, you guys know this song. Listen, like just remember all the changes in this song and how they go so far out in the middle of the song and even have that keyboard bit. And then they find a way to go so far out, but then they come back to the original riff at the end of the song. That is great writing, and it's a highlight in the Progiverse, my friend. Great stuff. And the last pick. Nope, sorry, not the last pick. Good. ELO, Fire on High.
Oh.
Face the Music. Great stuff. Again, lots of cool moods and hills and valleys and things that it goes throughout the 5 minutes of the track. I think it's just over 5 minutes too. ELO have a lot of really proggy stuff. They have a lot of like lengthy tracks as well on other albums, and they have songs that like I think there's a whole side of Out of the Blue that where all the tracks work together as one long piece if you listen to the whole record. But
yeah, it's a sweet.
Yeah, it's a sweet. But we're talking about Face the Music today. Just a great little instrumental track that opens up the album and does a lot of fun stuff. So if you haven't heard it, definitely check it out. This album is awesome. You got Evil Woman. Everybody knows that song, Strange Magic. Then you also got other tunes like Fire on High and Waterfall and stuff. So it's really the whole record is worth a listen.
Yeah.
And that leaves one more track. One more. And this is one that was already picked by one of you guys. Are you ready, Lauren?
I'm not ready. No, I am.
Indiscipline.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I was so happy when you picked that, man.
Yeah.
What an incredible piece of music. And the fact that it is absolutely organized chaos. I mean, you know how many drummers and how many musicians and people even just listening to the track, you know how many years it has taken some people to figure out where the hell one was. I mean, we know from the absurd amount of listens that we have, we know that it's actually a shuffle. That it's got this kind of rhythm to it. But Bill Bruford, if he doesn't find, like, he manages to find every other possible rhythm that can work with that riff throughout this track.
Yeah.
In small increments and makes them all work, and it sounds amazing and flawless. It is organized chaos. It's heavy. It starts off really quiet. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Boom. And then just the heavy and sort of insane chaotic guitar riffing and feeding off of Bill Bruford between Bill and Robert. And then the vocals come in, like you said. I repeat myself when under stress. All that crazy stuff.
So good.
Great stuff. And I hope that, now is the time, I guess, because we got a minute, we can talk about the Beat Project that is coming to Toronto in October. And they're coming to Anaheim, where Matt's going to see them.
In November, I think.
In November. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not going to be able to contain...
Oh, no, I'm sorry. September. It's going to be...
September?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm not going to be able to hold off on posting about the show, man. So if you see my Facebook and it spoils anything, I'm sorry.
No. Well, I actually will see it before you guys see it. So
yeah, you will.
Yeah.
October 18th, Massey Hall, the same venue. For those who don't know, I'd like to say that is the same venue where Rush's album, All the World's a Stage, was recorded in 1976. But
the very famous venue.
Yeah. And much thanks to Rush, actually, and Triumph and all those Canadian bands that sort of, really, made a live album out of it, right? And sort of put it on the map for other countries to know about. But yeah, I mean, Adrian Belew, Tony Levin, Steve Vai, and Danny Carey. I've seen Danny with Tool a number of times now, and I know, if you know, like, he just watching him play, he is well suited for this gig. He really is. I mean, people often compare Tool to Pink Floyd, and I kind of think that's not really so. I think if you're going to compare Tool to any band, it's going to be King Crimson. They have a very Crimson-esque, especially the 80s Crimson like this, like they have a lot of this influence in their music. I mean, I sent you guys that clip. I don't know if you guys get to see it, but I'll tell the viewers, if you go elsewhere on the YouTube and you type up Danny Carey, talks King Crimson 1996, there's a clip of him in the studio with a cameraman, and he pulls out the Discipline CD. This is about halfway through the video. And he pulls out the Discipline CD and he pops it in the CD player, and he's like just going on about how incredible this album is. And he puts on the song Discipline, and he's going, man, the way that Robert Fripp's riff is in like 3 or something, and Bill comes in with 5 over top of it, and they only link up every certain amount of bars. And in the way he's explaining it, like he's explaining it as a musical fan who is idolized that album for years. And so finally, 25 years later, to see him be part of this project is really cool. Because, you know, you can hear that influence in his drumming, just generally, even if it's in his jazz stuff or with Tool or whatever. And Steve Vai, you know, I mean, that's a great addition to the team right there. Steve Vai, that guy can do anything. And of course, him and Adrian both played in Zappa's band, of course, at different times, but it'll be really cool to see them share the same stage together. And Tony Levin, I mean, we've all seen him in, you know, King Crimson and Peter Gabriel and all these other bands too, but it'll be awesome to see him with this project. So all four of those guys, boom, super excited. Second row meet and greets. Oh,
Yeah.
Well, anyone got some honorable mentions? I know Matt's got a couple.
I got a couple. Asia, Wildest Dreams.
Nice.
I nearly went. They were kind of my gateway into a lot of the bands that they were all part of. So that song's always kind of resonated for various reasons.
That's awesome.
The Barbarian was one of mine. I had several Crimson songs, but I couldn't decide on one, and I ended up going with some things that were a little more obscure. But I was looking at Frame by Frame. I was looking at The Great Deceiver. You know, picked up things. Couple of other Gentle Giant tunes. The Moon is Down from the second album, and a couple other Genesis tunes. Chamber of 32 Doors.
Nice.
Tempest Fugit was a possibility. I Never Glid Before by Gong.
Oh,
big record.
Now you're talking.
I love that. I don't really know a hell of a lot about Gong other than the You album and the Angel's Egg record. I'm really familiar with those records a lot. And
there's so much more.
There is more. Yeah. I gotta dig into them a little heavier, but
yeah.
They had a lot of great, really wild, crazy music, and I love that. And the other one I was looking at possibly mentioning was a Roxy Music song from Country Life called Out of the Blue.
Oh, brilliant.
Which is a great song.
Love that song.
Right on.
Those were my honorable mentions. Oh, and Farewell to Kings, because I realized I didn't have any Rush on there.
Is that less than 6 minutes? Farewell to Kings?
D1, baby.
You know what would be a great idea would be to, like, for one of our radio shows, for any of the three of us to go back and watch one of these videos and just take all the songs that we've talked about in any of these streams, this one or a past one or whatever, and make a set list out of them.
Build a show around them. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. I might do that with this, because I mean, there's 18, 19, 20 songs here. Sprinkle in a few more, and boom. And you guys could do that too with everything you've mentioned, and just pad it out with additional things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, if you want to do that, be my guest, man. I want to do it too, but we can't. Like, I would have to do it. We'd have to do it sort of spaced out, right? But it's a cool idea. Yeah. If any of you guys want to do it, Matt or Lauren, go right ahead. That'd be so cool. That'd be so cool. And that way we'd get to hear more Dream Theater on the radio.
That's true. And we get to hear more XTC on the radio too, which is never been.
Oh, yeah.
And XTC and more Kansas. It was Uncle Steve that actually gave me the sort of into this album by playing Icarus on his show. Yeah. And that always stuck with me. And so when I got the CD around the time I was doing that the Kansas list with the Prog Corner, and I fell in love with it right away, and heard Icarus again. I was like, man, that's my favorite song.
That reminds me, I had a couple other honorable mentions. I was either going to do Paradox or Portrait from Point of No Return, and I was looking at Let There Be More Light from the second Floyd album. So
great stuff, man. Great stuff.
Did you have anything that you ended up crossing out in favor of other songs?
Yeah, there's two that come to mind right now. I mean, I don't know. I think Waiting Man by King Crimson would be a good one. Elephant Talk, another one.
Yeah.
No, there's two more. Can Utility from Genesis, and Another Day from Dream Theater.
Lauren, what about you? Do you have any that?
I didn't really, because I found that I came up with 12 so quickly
Cool.
that I didn't really need to keep thinking about bands. I probably would have. I mean, my list would be different tomorrow, but I surprisingly didn't get to Jethro Tull or Gentle Giant, and two of my favorite bands. I wanted to pick Jethro Tull once I already had 12. I wanted to go with. There's a song they did called Paradise Steakhouse that I don't know how many people know that one, but I would have gone with that probably.
Nice.
Right on.
I don't know. I didn't write any honorable mentions, but there's
I didn't write it down. I just kind of got a couple of floating around, but I didn't. I stuck to mainly the 12 as well, like you.
Yeah.
When the drummer and bass player left the band, they said we're not in Kansas anymore.
Oh, that's terrible. I love it.
That's great.
I desecrated the back of an envelope coming up with my list, so it's a bunch of scribble.
And that's the fun part of doing this is coming up with all the songs and then whittling it down, right? Like there's so many times like I've gone on the Prog Corner and done lists too where it's like a top 10 and I go there with 16.
Yeah.
Like
the old days when people my age used to make mixtapes or mix CDs and be like, oh, I've only got X number of minutes and I've got some of these and I got to figure out what's going to fit,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember making mixed CDs too. I don't do it anymore, but I miss those days, man.
Oh.
I used to like take songs that I would love so much, like say like a Paul McCartney song, and I would like, this is my young, like I was like 6 years old when I used to do this. I'd go on my mom's computer, download the songs, and I would burn these discs, but I would put the same song like 4 times just so it would repeat. Not bothering to use the repeat option on most of the stereos, right? So the CD would have the same song 4 times. Yeah. Weird.
Well, I mean, in cassette days, it actually makes sense because just keep hitting the rewind button.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but then it would wear the tape out after a while, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, tapes wore out really easily.
That's why you gotta take that and when you're burning the tapes, just put the same song on it 4 times, and you have a lesser chance of ruining the tape.
I was trying to make a playlist the other day of music, and one of my future shows will be based around this. But I was trying to remember. I mean, back in those days, I had allowance money, so it wasn't like I could go and buy records all the time. And so I would wait for KLOS or KMET to play certain songs, and there were certain tunes that became like. Not only did they become indelible with like the 1981, 1982 period, but the way the tape ended up segueing did too.
Wow.
Like in my head, I hear certain songs after certain songs because they wound up that way on this 90-minute cassette that I used to play over and over again.
Yeah, where I used to go, I'd ride my bike to the library and borrow albums. I didn't have any money either. You know what I mean? I didn't even get allowance money. I had a paper route, and that was about it. So I would ride my bike. You could take out 2 at a time. Ride it back home, record the album, bring them back, and get 2 more, without realizing that you've recorded all the skips and pops as well. So for years, I would hear certain songs and expect a skip to happen at a certain point in a song. And
that's the best.
This song is actually 1.4 seconds longer than I remember it.
There's this moment during Rush's Analog Kid that I still hear as a crinkled cassette in my head. It was a brand new tape. I don't think I did this damage, although maybe I did. But in the middle of Alex's guitar solo, the tape got kind of mangled.
Yeah.
And for years after that, even when I bought the CD or would listen to it in other places, when that part of the guitar solo would happen, I would hear the mangle.
Yeah.
Do you still now?
Yeah, even to
I love that.
Remember when you'd put a tape in a Walkman, especially, and when it was a silent part, you could sort of hear backwards what was going on the other side of the tape.
Yeah,
I remember that.
8-tracks. 8-tracks are the worst for that.
Strange stuff.
That was really, really weird. Yeah.
Well,
Good
thank
stuff.
you guys. Thank you guys so much for coming on the panel today. Thanks to Matt and Lauren, and thanks to everyone who has watched while we were live and who chooses to watch on demand after. Feel free to leave your top 12 prog rock epic songs that are under 6 minutes. Tell us in the comments. Again, nothing longer than not even 1 second, not even 6 minutes itself. It's got to be under like 5:59 and lower.
Hard.
It is
hard, as Lauren said. It's challenging, but they're out there.
Exactly. Well, yeah, we know the challenges here on Brockway's Vinyl Bites, and so we'll talk about it, and we'll think of another challenge maybe for next week. What do y'all say?
All right.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching, and thanks to you two for being here. Love y'all. Really appreciate y'all. Don't forget to go check out Lauren's show this afternoon on www.deepnuggets.com. He comes on at 5 p.m. Eastern, and he does a 3-hour extravaganza of amazing stuff. Just great stuff. You know, everything from Frank Zappa to Metallica and everything in between. Just great stuff. So thanks. Someone says, well, Fork, I just tuned in. I like the Deadhead guy. Okay. Well, I think I have the same shirt as you, Matt. I think. Can I see?
Closing of Winterland.
Oh, no, I don't. Okay, my shirt's different. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's a fun one.
Well, watch back to the whole thing, and you'll find out that you might like the other two cool dudes as well. But Matt is pretty freaking awesome, we know.
These two dudes here are very, very cool. So, yes, you will enjoy them.
Matt and Lauren are great company. That's why they're on every stream. I seldom do a stream without these guys. You know, they're kind of mainstays in the Brockway's Vinyl Bites camp.
We're like stray animals. If you feed us, and we'll just keep coming back. You know, we never leave.
I mean, these two guys. You know, Cody, Matt and Lauren are.
Cody, I ran out of kibble. Do you got any more kibble, man?
These guys are like encyclopedias of music, not just prog, but you know, these guys like me go all over the board with eclectic taste. So. Yeah, and they're great. The two of the coolest dudes ever, man. Two of the nicest guys I know. Fucking awesome. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for being part of it, and thank you guys for watching, and we'll see y'all next time, all right?
All right.
All right. Rock on.
Later.
All right.